More ex-workers sue United Furniture Industries over unpaid wages. This actually marks the second class action lawsuit filed since the company abruptly shut down its overall business. Boonville attorney Casey Lott filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of Tori O'Neill and thousands of others in this similar situation. The 4-page court document shows Neal worked with United Furniture for 8 years and was also blindsided by her abrupt termination. Lott says United Furniture violated the WARN Act by not giving proper notice and therefore is demanding a jury trial in hopes of compensating Neal and others. And right now, joining us live is attorney Philip Hearn. He is actually an employment lawyer in Mississippi who filed a class action lawsuit yesterday. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Now, what are some of the emotions that you're gauging from the employees that have spoken with you?
Well, since the announcement was made, I've spoken to hundreds of employees over the last 24 hours, and my staff as well. They are absolutely, as you can imagine, devastated, afraid, anxious, trying to figure out what they're going to do through this holiday season.
Now, how are Mississippians actually protected when it comes to a mass layoff? We know that Mississippi is an at-will state. You work at the will of your employer, but this situation is really kind of different.
Well, that's correct. Mississippi has very few protections for workers, particularly when it comes to mass layoffs, but the federal government has protections in the WARN Act, which requires a 60-day notice or 60 days of severance to be given to any employee affected by a mass layoff or a plant shutdown.
Now, I found it really kind of interesting when you looked at the message that United Furniture Industries sent its employees saying that they were closing for unforeseen business circumstances, and the government can actually make an exception for that language.
They can in fact do that, but typically what you find is in a situation for unforeseen business circumstance, it's an act of God, like a fire or a tornado, something that wipes out the physical plant. There are some exceptions based on financing, but that will be a very fact-intensive inquiry, which we look forward to getting into in the litigation of this matter.
Okay, now what is your hope for the employees of United Furniture Industries?
Well, under the WARN Act, they're entitled to 60 days of severance pay and plus their attorney's fees, and that is the best we can do under the present state of the law, and we will fight to the very end to get them every dime we possibly can. It's just one of the worst things I've ever seen. And
not only Mississippi, but you also have layoffs in North Carolina yesterday. Our NBC affiliate there actually reported more than 630 layoffs there. We also heard about layoffs in California. I just don't understand, how come you think the company did not file a WARN notification?
That is an excellent question, and I promise you that we will get to the bottom of it. You just can't tell me that they had to wait till 3 days before Thanksgiving to lay off 4,000 people and put them out on the street with no insurance or no money. It's just one of the lowest things I've ever seen. So we'll get to the bottom of it. I promise you that.
All right. Thank you so much, Philip Hearn, joining us this afternoon to discuss more about this.
Thank you for having me.